Mr. Michael on the board today. How you doing, buddy?
Really good. How are you?
Not this guy. This guy over here. All right. Let's bring in Michael Bogart. How are you? How's it going?
I'm doing great.
Real good. Nice to meet you.
Michael's in the room today.
Let me just say that on the schedule it says Michael Bogart Islam Info. That's all it says.
That's right.
Okay, tell me what it's all about.
I've been teaching at West Hills Community College down in Lemoore for
this
more
Carol
than 20
Goldsmith.
Years. Yeah. And I've been teaching down there as an adjunct instructor for more than 20 years. I have a degree from a theological seminary, which makes me a pastor. And when you teach in California, you can teach in the area of your master. So they put me in charge of teaching this world religion class.
So what's your religion?
I'm a Christian.
Okay, so you're not following Islam.
And I'm not a follower of Islam, but I am a world religion teacher.
Okay.
And today, Islam is in the news every single day. I was reading the Fresno Bee out there in your lobby. And,
you're the one.
Yeah. And I noticed every single day there's something in there about some form of Islam, radical Islam, some event going on. And I also read another article.
What kind of event is going on with Islam in the news today? I've become overloaded on Islam and don't read it any longer.
Well, the article I read was about dealing with the Sunni Shia differences in Iraq in the aftermath of getting that country settled down. That was the article I read.
Is that country settled down?
Well, I suppose relative is the word, isn't it? Yeah.
Settled down a little bit more than it was before.
Than it was before, absolutely. That's right.
So, are you here? Are you teaching the Islam part of it just to kind of open people's eyes to what it really is? Because here in the western part of the world, we might have a different view of what Islam really is.
My goal in this, being a sort of a specialist in world religion, understanding that Islam is here to stay. Before 9/11, most people had very little idea of what that was all about. Today, it's everywhere. My objective is to make sure that people understand really what the content of Islam is. I'm not pro-Islam. I'm not anti-Islam. I'm just talking about the facts. And it's a person like me who's a world religion teacher who can do something like that fairly objectively.
Well, I'd love to hear some about it. Why don't you tell me?
Okay, well, I've got these videos out here. I've got a standard edition. That's a 35, 40-minute video on just on the subject of what Islam is, where it came from, how it got started, what are the main teachings, what are the main groups, that sort of thing. I put together a teacher's package as well. This can be used in a classroom.
Do they really hate us?
Well,
That's what that's what we hear, right? Since 9/11, they're taught to hate us.
Well,
they want to kill us.
The radical version, of course, is what we're dealing with. The average Muslim, there's 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. There's a spectrum of belief and practice and attitude within Islam, just like within Christianity or any religion. And so you've got your moderates, you've got your people that don't quite know what they believe, you've got your obscure offshoots, and you've got your radical Islam. It's the radicals that we need to worry about.
Okay. How many of those are there?
Well, we don't know. The U.S. government would love to know the answer to that question. A small minority, but a very influential minority. That's the issue. Because they can exert a lot of pressure, a lot of fear pressure on the rest of the Muslims in the world.
Okay, so are they like other religions, like this group of the Islams, the radicals? They take the Quran and they read something into it, and it's different from what other peaceful Islam followers.
Correct. That's correct. By the way, the Quran is the Muslim holy scripture.
Right.
And just like some people can take the Bible and pull strange things out of it. The Quran actually does have what they call the jihad verses in it, where there's probably about 6 or 7 jihad verses, meaning struggle verses or conflict verses. They can be interpreted by the radicals to say, well, if people stand in the way of Islam, they can be attacked, that kind of thing. In their original context, when Muhammad actually, gave the Quran, it was in response to Muslims being attacked by outsiders. Therefore, the response could be that then you can retaliate. Well,
like eye for an eye.
Exactly.
Because all these books aren't really that different, are they?
Well, there's some different things about the Quran, just as there are different things about the Bible. But the Quran has a lot of stuff in it that many people could agree with. Certainly, that's true.
Does it have many things in it that are kind of in line with the King James Bible?
The Quran tells some of the same stories that the Bible tells. Was
Muhammad here before Jesus?
Oh, no. Muhammad's 600 years after
After Jesus.
Yeah. So Christianity had been around for 600 years. Of course, Judaism, much longer than that. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of a relative newcomer to the whole religious scene. Yeah.
So, peaceful Islams, radical Islams, where does it say that we're the bad guys? Go after us.
In those jihad verses. It talks about unbelievers. And again, the context when those verses were written...
But does it say the Western world? Does it say go after us?
No. The Quran doesn't really deal with the Western world. It's dealing with an Arabian context. And that needs to be understood.
How is it construed to be that that we're the bad guys and they need to come after us and fly planes into our buildings and stuff like that?
Because the radicals interpret the verses that say you can retaliate against unbelievers and apply it to us today in the modern context. That's what they're doing. And that's what we need to be concerned about, is that group. But my problem with, I think our Western attitude is that we tend to lump all Muslims together. Well,
Sure.
They're the enemy.
I know after 9/11, a lot of different races were getting lumped in together, and so...
A lot of the Sikh people here in the Central Valley were being classed as Muslim. They have nothing to do with it.
Right.
But we don't know that. That's the problem. Yeah.
So tell us more about your teachings.
Well, like I said, I've been teaching world religion for a number of years. I've designed courses for other colleges on that subject.
I bet you get some interesting conversations going on in your classes, don't you?
I set some ground rules the very first week of school. We're not going to bash anybody. We're going to focus on facts. And so it is interesting conversations, but it's always really good and productive. We don't let it get out of bounds, and that's the important thing. And in religious discussion today, you've got to set some ground rules so that we do it positively.
Were you doing this right after 9/11?
Well, right after 9/11, West Hills College called me in to be the expert on Islam, which I thought was kind of funny at the time because I was just a world religions teacher. But I thought since the college thought I was the Islamic expert, I'd better become one. Hence, my books now and my videos on the subject. So, my mission is to get the word out in a fair, unbiased, and user-friendly way. Not only about Islam, but about some of the other major religions as well.
Did you talk to anybody that follows Islam that's read your books?
Absolutely.
What did they say about it?
They thought it was fair. They thought it was very accessible. Actually, some of them actually learned a couple things from it. So I was kind of gratified by that.
Other than the just upfront questions that what are some of the other questions in your book that you try to cover? Each
book I write, and including the one on Islam, I include 30 FAQs, 30 frequently asked questions. So they want to know, when was the Quran written? What has the Quran got in it? Are Muslims really, as a whole, enemies of Western people? Why do they pray 5 times a day? What happens during Ramadan? Do they really not eat anything for 30 days, which is not true. But,
they only when the sun's up, right?
Right, only sun up to sundown, that sort of thing. All those kinds of questions that people really are kind of curious about. And so that's what I try to deal with in these books and videos. I also give some direction in terms of how we as Westerners and non-Muslims relate to the many Muslim people around us. I don't know what the Muslim population of the Fresno area is, but I've heard that it could be as many as maybe 10, 20,000. And so
is that a lot for a city of our size?
I would say it's a pretty significant group. There are at least 2 mosques right here in Fresno, 2 different branches of Islam. And so how do you deal with the Muslim people around us? And I give some direction in the books and the videos as to just some suggestions as to how you relate to the Muslim people that are here and why they're here. That sort of thing.
What's your family think about this?
Well, my wife is my greatest supporter, I have to say. She's wonderful. I love her dearly. We've been married 36 years.
She's not afraid you're going to convert.
Oh, no. I'm not going to convert. And she's not afraid of that. I think, my more distant relatives sometimes wonder if I'm in my right mind. Mm-hmm. But I think...
Do they worry about your safety at all?
Well, I have checked this out with my videos out with Muslim people, and I've said, is there anything, in this book that's likely to get me in trouble? And since it's an attempt to be very non-biased, fact-based, there's nothing in this book that a Muslim wouldn't say, yeah, that's true. This is absolutely right. Try not to put any spin on it that doesn't belong there.
Do you talk about the radical Muslims?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what people are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And we differentiate them and their goals from the bulk of Islam.
Wow. Sounds like we could talk about this for a very long time.
Absolutely.
Not just a little bit of time that we have. Sure. Where can people find these videos and books?
I have an educational resource website called Mind Cuisine, like brain and food. So Mind Cuisine. MindCuisine.com. Just go online. You can order all my products online. And like I say, there's a teacher's edition to at least the Islam one. It can be used in a classroom. And it can be taught in like a high school, college classroom. It's not meant for anything other than just objective use.
People that are educated in religion, people that are in the Western religion, what is the most frequently asked question that they ask? About
Islam? They want to know if the Muslims are out to get us. That's the number one thing on people's minds. They're afraid of Muslim people. They don't even know how to talk to people. Let's say that you've got a child in high school, and you're part of the PTA, and there are Muslim people that have their kids in high school and part of the PTA. They don't necessarily want to sit down next to that person and talk to them like a fellow parent. There's this barrier, this fear that I don't know how to talk to this person, and so that's the issues they're really concerned about. Is what do we say? Am I going to say something wrong, get myself in trouble? That's what's on people's minds these days.
Religion's been causing fear for many years, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sure has.
Michael Bogart, man, here I'm looking at the schedule, not knowing much about you, and I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, I could talk to you all day.
Well, maybe another time, huh?
I hope so.
Yep.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much.
Yep. One more time, tell the people how they find your stuff.
MindCuisine.com, MindCuisine.com. It's a religious resource website that has videos and books on it, and you can order directly from that website.
Awesome. Hey, you were here for the music before. You want to hear some more?
My goodness, that was wonderful.
Okay, you guys stick around. Coming up next, more music from Nathan Hinojosa.